and also case number 250310F1.
Good morning, Your Honor. Erica Smith appearing on behalf of the people for the welfare fraud case.
Good morning, Your Honor. Kelli Bryant on behalf of the people.
And good morning, Your Honor. Celia Karen on behalf of Ms. Bryant on both cases.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm Ben Gannick on behalf of Ms. Bryant, on behalf of the child abuse case.
All right. And Ms. Bryant, would you state your name for the record, please?
Kelli Bryant.
Thank you. This is the time and date for preliminary exams on both cases. As to the welfare fraud case, Ms. Smith?
Yes, Your Honor, it's my understanding that we are going to have a waiver on that case. I think our inclination is to have the child abuse exam go first to make sure that that's bound over or is at least concluded, and then waive on the welfare fraud case, just to keep the two cases together. So however the court wants to do that, that was our thought, but if the court has a different suggestion, we're obviously open to that as well.
That would be fine with no objection.
There's no objection, Your Honor. We just like to keep everything together.
All right, that's fine. So I'll circle back to that at the conclusion of the child abuse case.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. As to the child abuse matter, parties are ready to move forward?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Are there any preliminary matters for the record?
Yes, Your Honor. The parties are asking for a mutual sequestration order. I do have Detective Brish, who is the officer in charge in this case. I asked for him to remain. And I have the first witness, Deputy Curtis, who's in the courtroom right now.
No objection.
I will note mutual sequestration of witnesses until they're called, the officer in charge can stay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Secondly, because the victims in this case are children, we are asking for their names to not be said today in court. My suggestion would be to label them as the oldest child, the middle child, and the youngest, just to protect them.
And Your Honor, we spoke about this before. We have no desire for their names to be repeated in court over and over again, so we're in agreement.
And because they are minor children, the court can agree with that as well.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. There was stipulations to the exhibits for purposes of examination only. I do have photographs of the home. They're labeled as People's Exhibits 1 through 20. I do have them on a USB for the court. And I also have hard copies of the pictures. Secondly, the 21 and 24 of the People's Exhibit are the forensic interviews of the victims in this case. So there are 3 forensic interviews that were conducted at Care House. And we are asked if there's a stipulation for them to be admitted for purposes of exam only for in-camera review.
That is correct, Your Honor.
And I will note stipulation to the admission, that's for the exhibits as well. Please carry on.
Yes, Your Honor.
1 through 20, also stipulation for the admission of 21 and 24 for purposes of the preliminary exam.
Yes.
For
Thank you, Your Honor. And then lastly, there were some stipulations to facts in this case. First, that Kelli Bryant is the mother of the named victims and that she had custody over them.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Second, that all the 3 named victims are under the age of 18.
That is also correct, Your Honor.
And third, that Kelli Bryant was named on the lease of 660 Lydia Avenue in the city of Pontiac.
That is also correct, Your Honor.
Court will accept those stipulations as to facts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other preliminary matters you ready?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
People can call it first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people called Deputy Curtis.
Deputy, if you will come forward and I'll swear you in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you for your proceed when ready.
Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you, Deputy. Deputy, are you employed?
Yes,
Where are you employed?
Overton County
You
Sheriff's
have to put
Office.
his name on the record, spell the last name.
Oh, I apologize. Could you state and spell your name?
Deputy Quincy Curtis, QUINCYCURTIS.
Thank you. Where are you employed?
Overton County Sheriff's Office, substation.
And how long have you been in the Pontiac substation?
Just under 6 years.
And what's your current position there?
Patrol deputy.
Okay, can you walk me through what you do in that role?
I patrol the city of Pontiac, answer calls for service.
Okay. And were you working on February 14, 2025 around 1:30 p.m.?
Yes,
And were you dispatched to 660 Lydia Lane?
yes,
And is that in the city of Pontiac,
yes,
County of Oakland?
yes.
What was the nature of the dispatch?
There's a welfare check.
And did you arrive at 660 Lydia Lane?
Yes.
What, if anything, did you observe upon arrival?
Upon arrival, I made contact with the landlord for the residence. He asked us to do a welfare check. He hasn't heard from the tenant in some time, hadn't received payment in some time, so he was requesting a welfare check.
From your understanding, had there been an attempt for a welfare check earlier?
The day prior,
Was it successful? Do you know the circumstances of why it wasn't successful?
yeah, deputies on scene weren't able to see anything inside, weren't able to gain access. Landlord came back the following day with the locksmith.
Okay. And what, if anything, did the locksmith do?
He was able to open the residence.
Can you describe what the residence looks like for the court?
It is an apartment style townhouse with a garage underneath the residence. Where we were inside was through the garage, which with the residence would be upstairs above the garage.
And the locksmith was able to open the garage, correct?
Correct.
Upon walking in, what, if anything, did you observe?
I observed a large mold stain coming through the ceiling of the garage, which had been right under the residence. Through the garage door that was open, I immediately observed trash and feces all over the floor and a very extremely foul smell coming from the apartment.
And the garage is attached to the unit, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you enter the unit?
Yes.
Initial observations upon entering?
Right away, I observed a staircase to my left, a bedroom over to the right. I observed just trash piled everywhere. Feces and cobwebs throughout the entire downstairs and garbage trail all the way up the stairs.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness with the stipulated exhibits?
You may.
Thank you. I'm going to hand you the admitted exhibits 1 through 20. If you could look at the first picture, what do we see in that picture?
First picture would be the entrance to the garage.
Okay. And exhibit 2, what are we looking at?
The inside of the garage.
And walk us through the next picture.
That is just through the garage door from picture 2 with the staircase on the left and the bedroom door on the right. And the piles of trash on the floor.
What else did you notice on the staircase itself beyond the garbage?
I will notice there was feces on the staircase as well.
Okay. And then ultimately, did you walk up the
I
stairway?
did.
What, if anything, did you observe when you walked up the stairway?
When I got to the top of the stairway, I observed, while I reached, it was a living area. There was a couch in the middle that had trash piled on top of it, almost 4 feet in the air. Pizza boxes all over the place. There was just piles of feces. There was cobwebs hanging from the ceiling that you had to walk through.
Would you identify that? How would you identify that area that you're walking in? Was that the living space?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And then what did the living space, did it connect to any other parts of the home?
The living space is connected to the kitchen. It was just kind of a follow-on room, which then had multiple bedrooms and half them off were the same.
Okay. Starting with the kitchen, what were some of your observations within the kitchen?
Counters were completely covered in trash, sink heads covered in trash. There was cobwebs from the ceiling almost all the way down to the counters, feces throughout the kitchen as well.
When you refer to trash, were they in trash bags? What were you looking at?
Just empty pizza boxes, empty food wrappers, just piled up.
Was there any odor while you were walking through the home?
Yes, it was very foul. Our initial thought was we were checking the apartment for a dead body.
Now, you testified that there were also bedrooms that were in that living space or connected to that living space. Can you describe the bedrooms? How many were there?
I believe there's 3 bedrooms. They all appear to be the same, lots of trash. Both bathrooms were covered in trash and feces as well.
Were there beds in those bedrooms?
One of them.
And how about the bed? Was there a bed set on that? How do you describe the bed?
There was a mattress on the bed frame. The mattress was stained and extremely dirty, had wrappers on it, wrappers all around it.
Okay. At any point were you attempting to clear the home?
Yes,
Can you describe to the court what clearing the home means?
just ensuring that there's no dead body inside. We're trying to look and make sure that find anybody that might be inside.
While you were doing that, did anything unusual happen?
Yes,
What, if anything, happened?
as I was going through the living area, I came to a door on my right. I went to go open it and it was locked. I saw 2 more doors past that. As I began to go to the other 2 doors, I heard crying from inside that locked door.
Did it sound like crying from a number of people or one person? What did it sound like?
At the time, I believe it was multiple children.
What, if anything, did you do at that time?
At that time, I turned back around and addressed that locked door. I let them know I was the police, and I was not going to hurt them. They were safe. They needed to come outside so we could check on their welfare.
Did they?
At first, they did not come outside. I was giving them multiple orders to come outside. At that time, a door from the bedroom behind me opened, and the oldest child exited that bedroom. He had his hands up in the air, and he identified himself to us. I told him to tell the children to come outside, which he ordered them to come outside.
Okay. Now, what were your initial observations of the oldest child?
Oldest child, he came out without a shirt on. He had blue pants on that were covered in dirt. I observed his toenails to be extremely long. He was having a hard time walking straight.
What was his demeanor when you approached him?
Nervous. He was talking very fast, and he seemed frightened.
And ultimately, was he able to get the other children out of the bathroom?
Yes.
What did you observe happening?
The bathroom door opened, and I observed 2 females, children in the bathroom. They appeared hunched over. Their arms were connected. They were staying very close to each other. They were just crying. I don't really understand what they were trying to say. They were both looking down and wouldn't look at us, and they kept their arms tight to their chest.
Did you see the bathroom that they exited from?
Yes, after I got them to, after several minutes of getting them to come out of the bathroom, I did check it.
Describe what the bathroom looked like, please.
The bathroom was completely filled with trash and feces on the floor. The toilet was completely filled up to the brim with feces, and they were coming off the top. The bathroom tub had feces in it as well.
Do you know where the children were in the bathroom when they weren't coming out? Like where in the bathroom they were hiding?
I don't know for sure where they were at. I did hear the shower curtain that was connected to the tub move before they exited.
What happened next after they got out of the bathroom?
We had all 3 of the children together, and we were in the living space at that time. We were gonna go have them have a seat in our patrol cars so we could figure out what was going on. And I instructed them to start walking downstairs.
Anything noteworthy of them walking down the stairs?
Yes, all 3 of them appeared to have a hard time walking. The two younger children were very hunched over, again, keeping their arms tight to their body. They appeared to just hold hands or stay connected at all times. They were extremely uncomfortable with deputies walking behind them. They would turn to the side and do a side shuffle. They wouldn't walk, they wouldn't turn their backs to us. So they were walking like back to back down the stairs.
And is this referring to the middle child and the youngest child? Describe the scene to the court. How many deputies were in the home at this time?
After we got down to the garage, there was at least 10 deputies there at this time.
Did you attempt to calm the children down?
Yes,
Were you successful in doing that?
not very much.
Okay, why do you say that?
They just did not appear to become any more calm. They were very frightened. It appeared they hadn't had interaction with other people.
Did you speak to them?
I did.
Who did you speak to in particular?
I spoke to all three.
Okay. Now, starting with the oldest child, where did you speak to him?
I had him have a seat in the back of my car, and then I spoke to him there.
Did you ask him when Miss Bryant was, or where his mom was?
I did.
What, if anything, did you learn?
The oldest child informed me that he lives at the apartment.
I'm gonna object to hearsay at this time.
Your Honor, I believe this would fall under MRE 8031, present sense impression. It's a statement describing the condition or the event while it was immediately happening.
Your Honor, I guess for purposes of exam, it's probably appropriate on the present sense impression.
Now, I understand the nature of the objection, but it would be permitted.
Thank you. Continue, please.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
Did you ask him when the last time that the defendant lived in the home?
I did, 2020 to 2021.
Did he make any other statements to you?
He informed me that he lives there along with his two sisters.
Did you speak with the middle child?
Yes.
Where did you speak to her?
Also in the backseat of a different patrol car.
Did she make any statements to you?
I was just trying to get the names of the two of them. The two youngest were together in the back of the car. They were having a hard time spelling their names to me. They had to consult each other to tell me their names.
Did you ask them for their dates of birth?
I did.
Were they able to provide that to you?
After some time when consulting each other, they were.
What happened after they were placed in the patrol cars? They were sitting there.
I was very concerned for their welfare. I called Star EMS to come to the scene to check on them.
Why were you scared for their welfare?
Based off of my observations inside that apartment, I didn't think it was a suitable place for anybody to be living.
Did Star EMS arrive?
They did.
And were the children, were they transported to a hospital?
They were.
Which hospital?
McLaren Oakland in downtown Pontiac.
And did you follow the ambulance?
I did.
Did you go inside the hospital?
Yes.
Can you describe the children when they were in the hospital?
Yes. We took them out of the patrol cars, walked them inside. They were still having a very difficult time walking, hunched over. Arms
Would you say that's for
bodies.
all, I apologize, would you say that's for all three of the children or specific children?
Specifically the younger two, with the hunched over arms to the chest.
What happened after that?
We walked them inside. They went to the emergency department first, where they had their vitals checked. Nurses in the ER were also concerned that they hadn't had hygiene supplies in some time. So the children were transported upstairs, provided showers and general hygiene.
Did you, what did the children do with those hygiene supplies?
They were able to take a shower, brush their teeth, use the bathroom,
Is there anything noteworthy or anything that you noticed while they were provided those supplies?
Yes, the nurses were informing us that they were having.
And I'm gonna object to your saying, I don't think that qualifies.
They want to rephrase the question.
Of course.
That's the same.
Did you make any observations of the children using the supplies, the hygiene supplies?
I made an observation of the children having a hard time flushing the toilet. They didn't understand how to flush the toilet.
And anything noteworthy about toothbrush and toothpaste?
They're just unfamiliar.
Were the children offered food at the hospital?
They were.
Anything noteworthy that happened when food arrived?
They did not eat at first. They waited until all three of them were together. The two youngest asked permission of the older brother if they were allowed to eat, and then they would only eat if everyone stepped out of the room.
How long would you say that you were at the hospital?
Several hours.
What happened where were you, I guess, while they were at the hospital?
I was just trying to make them the most comfortable, so I was standing outside of the room. I contacted CPS, and I was just waiting for their arrival.
Okay. One moment, Your Honor. Did you make any observations of the bathroom after the children brushed their teeth,
I don't recall.
specifically in the sink? Any observations?
I remember the sink had blood in it.
Now, going back to 660 Lydia Avenue, when you were doing the walkthrough of the condo, did you see any hygiene products in the home?
I don't recall seeing anything.
Any toilet paper?
I don't recall.
And were the children wearing shoes in the home when you assessed them?
No.
Your Honor, I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Daniel or Mr. Gutt?
Thank you. Good morning.
Deputy Curtis, the photos that you referenced, that you went through and identified, when were those taken?
They were taken after the children were transported to the hospital.
And do you know how many deputies had already walked through that home when the photos were taken?
I don't know the exact number.
More than 10?
I'm not positive. I left
Oh, okay, so you left and followed EMS to the hospital? Okay. How many deputies were on scene at the time that you left?
around 10 probably.
Okay, and did they all go inside the home?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Now, you indicated that when you first entered the home and you attempted to see, go do the walkthrough and see if anybody was in there, you then heard the voices from the one bathroom. Is that where you heard the cries from, or?
Correct.
Okay, and then were you calling out for those children to come out?
Yes,
And did they respond to you at all?
they continue crying.
Okay, and then did the oldest child, you stated he came out of a bedroom, correct?
Correct.
Did he come out upon command, or did he just come out on his own?
He came out.
On his own?
Correct.
Okay, and then he told his sisters to then exit as well, correct?
Correct. I instructed him to.
Okay, and he followed that command, correct?
Yes.
And he asked his sisters to come out,
Yes.
and then did they come out?
Yes.
And you already testified that they looked frightened, correct?
Yes.
And you would agree with me, you were a stranger to them?
Yes.
You had never met these children before, right? And you were in your law enforcement uniform?
Yes.
Right, so they would have seen that you were a police officer, correct?
Correct.
And would you agree with me, if you know, do you know if anyone had ever been called to this home before, meaning was there a history of police interaction with this home?
Besides, like we mentioned the day prior, I'm not positive.
Okay, and so to your knowledge, it wouldn't be an ordinary thing to have police officers or deputies at that particular home, correct?
Correct.
It would be something unfamiliar to these children?
Yes.
And how long had you been a deputy for?
Just under 6 years.
And is it common for folks to be frightened or upset when they see the police or interact with the police?
I would say situation.
Okay, so it happens, correct? All right, not everybody is happy or excited to see you, is that correct?
Right.
And some are frightened.
Right.
Now, after transporting the children to the hospital, you were speaking to these children, correct, all along?
Yes.
And did they seem to understand what you were telling them?
Yes.
And were they speaking back to you? Were they responding to you?
Softly, yes.
Okay, but they had appropriate words, correct?
Yes.
And they could, I guess, have an appropriate conversation with you, if that makes sense?
Somewhat, yes.
Okay, and you arrived to the hospital, and the children went in and they were offered hygiene products, correct?
Yes.
And I'm assuming you were not present when they actually took showers, is that fair?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and nobody else was either, is that correct?
The nurses at the hospital.
The nurses were there, okay, and the children took their showers and they put on different clothes, correct?
Yes.
And were they interacting with the nurses as well?
Yes.
All right, and they were verbal with them and speaking to them, correct?
Yes.
And was this consistent throughout the time that you were there? Meaning that they were communicating?
It was on and off.
Okay, and you also indicated that the sisters, or the middle child and the youngest child, they were talking to each other about when their birthdays were,
They were
but they were able to give you the information,
eventually.
and it was the correct information.
I believe so.
All right. And what about the oldest? Was he able to provide his details?
Yes.
You were not in there when they, I guess, brushed their teeth, or you indicated that there was some blood in the sink. You don't know how that arrived there. Is that fair?
I went in the bathroom after the fact.
And you didn't watch what was going on. Is that fair? Did the children eat?
Yes.
And what did they eat?
Little Caesar's pizza.
Okay, is that what they requested?
They did request that.
So they were able to communicate to you what they'd like to eat. Is that correct?
Yes.
May I have one moment, Chairman? I have nothing else. Thank you, Deputy.
That's where I saw him last, like right there, literally 2 seconds.
Okay.
And he does play right here, but he knows not to go in the woods. But if I'm not with him,